This call is being recorded.
Welcome to Hot Chocolate with CP, everyone. Okay, I don't know what drink you should grab at this point because basically, as of last Tuesday, which I'm going to pull up a calendar to see what last Tuesday was, because as of last Tuesday, I had a scary situation go on, and last Tuesday would have been the 26th. So, okay, on the last Monday and Tuesday of last year, 2020, last Monday and Tuesday of last year, it would have been it would have been the 26th and the 27th. And last Monday and Tuesday, we had a little bit of a problem. We also made national news. This is how big this problem was. So on Sunday, I get a public safety announcement first of all, on Sunday morning, my boiler decides to go off and doesn't want to turn back on. I'm thinking, okay, so we put a pilot light to it. It manages to turn back on for the time being. And then that was Sunday. And then by Sunday night, I wake up Monday morning and I realize that they had already sent a public service announcement to the iPhones and Androids, which, by the way, as part of my PSA, if you go into settings in your iPhones, and I presume if you go into settings on the Androids, you can flip on and off, get public safety, get they typically use it for Amber Alerts, but get public safety, get Amber Alerts, get everything else. So I want you guys to flip that on because you'll see why I say that. So go into your settings and flip that on just so you can get those public safety alerts and Amber Alerts. I know they're really annoying because they go off 1,000 miles a minute and make a really loud noise, but at the same time, they're really helpful. So on Sunday, we get, those of us in Aspen, get a public safety alert saying that the gas has been shut down for the time being. And I'm thinking, oh, great, here we go. This is this is a public safety alert. I'm thinking, okay, I'll just go. So we had no heat, we had no gas, we had water, but I did not take a shower on Monday morning because of this. And so I went back to bed and I went back to bed with 1,000 blankets over me. I didn't think anything of it. And so I'm like, oh, good. They're going to get the heat fixed. They're going to get the gas fixed. And then when we didn't have gas, so you can't cook anything either. So I'm like, okay, this is great. What are we going to do for lunch? And what are we going to do for dinner? And I'm like, thinking, okay, I'll deal with this for one day. And then it turns into day two. And okay, so next day, aid number one leaves. A A number one leaves. A number one was there with me on Monday and Sunday, Monday. And so A number one turns my boiler back on using the pilot light, and then we are still with no heat. By the time she leaves on Monday, we are still with no heat. Aspen is still with no heat. And so we're like, oh great, what are we gonna do now? So then the Aspen police and the fire department get involved because now it's affecting 3,500 people, including one of them who had a disability, is Julie. And so I'm like, okay. So thank goodness I had a space heater that my dad had bought me many, many, many years ago. So thank goodness I had a space heater. And so, but in the meantime, the Aspen Police Department was handing out space heaters at the Aspen Police Department, one per customer of those who use Black Hills Energy. And so they were handing out space heaters. Of course, it was snowing. So you can just imagine people line up in the cars waiting to get a space heater. Of course, people who went at 6 p.m. Monday night, the space heaters were all gone. So now this whole valley's looking at each other like, okay, what are we gonna do? And so that was Monday night. At 2:30 a.m., I wake up because at this time even though I'm calm as a cucumber, I'm freaking out on the inside. I'm like, okay, I have cerebral palsy, I have poor circulation. What am I going to do? And so at 2:30 a.m., I flip on the light, and literally we called 2:30 a.m. Tuesday morning. I flip on the light, and literally we called short short sleep deprived, mind you, sleep deprived because I had no heat, so I wasn't getting sleep, and at least not a very good sleep. And so we called a short Facebook Live to explain that we still have no heat, and I was not recording it to say I need help, but I kind of was. And of course, my stepmom was upstairs at my house. She had driven 30 minutes away from me to go get two space heaters from me for the two of us, not for me, but just for the two of us. And so by the time Tuesday, and in the midst of all this, I'm making a plan behind the scenes with my second aide number two, who I said, okay, we have no heat. What are we going to do? How are we going to have me take a shower? She goes, okay, I'm bringing, and now granted, this poor woman, she lives in Rifle, which is about 2 hours away from me. So she goes, okay, I'm bringing my Instapot, and this is how we're going to bathe, bathe you, and this is how we're going to start cooking food. And so I'm thinking, okay, So I said to her, "Well, get here by 8:30. Her typical start time is 9." And I said, "Please get here by 8:30 with the Instapot because we're in trouble now and I need help. I need manpower. My mom has a full-time job. I need manpower now, and I can barely walk, let alone barely breathe. And we'll get to that concept in a minute, why I could barely breathe. And so, okay, so she gets to my house with the Instapot. I, by the time she serves me, before she walks in the door, I call Health and Human Services out at the Pickens County building. And I say, "Look, I have cerebral palsy. I need to be put on a high priority list." And I'm like, "Okay." And they're like, "Okay, we'll see what we can do." Well, in the meantime, I am well, not frantically, I should say, I am calling XL Energy. I am looking in both newspapers, the Aspen Times and the Aspen Daily News, to figure out what time XL Energy is coming. And but the trick was I could not leave my house to go get heat and to go get something to eat before XL Energy came. Before I keep saying XL Energy because we'll get to that why in a minute. Before Black Hills Energy came with XL Energy because they also needed manpower to help them. So the trick was I couldn't leave my own house because to go get to go get into something warm or to go find food because at this point I was starving. It was about 1 1 p.m. on Tuesday. And I'm like, okay, now I'm starving. Now I have sweaters on me. I have sweaters, big heavy sweaters around me. I have jackets on me. I have a space heater next to me. And I'm like, this is not good. And in the meantime, my stepmom and I were texting back and forth because you got to remember she's at work, so she was at work, but she said call the call. No, we go on and on and on, backwards and forwards. Finally, she goes, I tried to call the cops, but left it I left it at full voicemail. I can't get a hold of the cops. I'm like, oh boy, here we go. And so then now this is at 3:30 ish Mountain Standard Time. And so I land up calling the dispatch number of the Pickens County Cops. Me being me, I called the dispatch number, and so I'm like, "Okay, this is great." And they go, "Dispatch, is this a 911 call?" And I go, "No, it isn't." But I'm still not feeling that great. I still have that stomach. I have a splitting headache that will not go away, even with the millions of glasses of water I've been drinking all throughout the day. And I'm, I feel a little bit disoriented. And that's not typical for anyone, including me. And so I'm the cops call me and they say, and I explain the situation. They go, "This is Rachel. What's the situation?" And I said, "Look, I'm stuck in a heat outage. I have cerebral palsy. I'm a high priority. Look, I need help." And so the cops flagged down a team of Excel Energy and Black Hills Energy to come into my house. The cops call me back and they say the team is on their way to the house. And I'm thinking, oh, great, this team was supposed to be on my block. It turns out the cops flagged down a team that was available at the moment and gave them the address and explained the situation. We have a woman in distress. You guys need to go help her. Turns out that these guardian angels walked into my house and they weren't even on my block. And so it's like, okay. And so I'm like, well, thank you very much. I said that to the cop. And so by the time Excel Energy and Black Hills Energy showed up, I was a mess. I was a mess and a half. I had no patience. I remember standing on my stairway, and by this time I was about to fall backwards and faint. I'll get to that story in a minute because at this time I still had the stomach, and I didn't know what was wrong with me. And so I remember watching them pull into my driveway. And I remember saying to my aide, I have no patience. I got so angry at aide who was there with me. I got so angry at her because I remember saying I have no patience. And she goes out, tells the guys and tells the guys that, look, this is a fairly tense moment. Please don't please don't take anything personally, whatever this woman says, V says. And I'm like, okay, that's a great concept. And so then XL and V comes into my house. They show me the big yellow carbon monoxide stick that they're going to use. And the next thing I know, they go, it wasn't Black Hills Energy, it was XL Energy that said it to me. They go, ma'am, your boiler's leaking gas, your boiler's leaking carbon monoxide, and you need to get out of there now. So, in the midst of all this, yeah, and then in the midst of all this, I'm like, oh, great. So I get my mom on the phone. My mom has no clue as to what's going on, no clue. And I said, well, mommy dear, we have a problem. And she goes, well, what do you can I speak to those guys? And so I hand the phone off to XL Energy people and Black Hills Energy people, and they go, yes, we do have a problem, and you and Win need to get out of there now, otherwise you're gonna die. And she goes, well, I don't understand. The water heater was changed 2 years ago, and they go, well, ma'am, we're not talking about the water heater. We're talking about a very old boiler that hadn't been changed since the house got bought and hadn't been inspected either. And she goes, oh, now I see what you're talking about. And so they they do what they call red tagging the dang thing. And so they red tagged it and she goes, can I speak to Win? And of course, I'm sitting, you guys should have seen me. I'm sitting in the middle of my living room in a chair, flipping, freaking out, because I didn't know what was coming next. I didn't know what a boom was coming next of something exploding, or I didn't know whether I was gonna make it out of my other life. So I'm sitting in this chair, freaking out, and of course my stepmom is still at work, and so now she's freaking out. The next thing I know, I get the phone back from her. She says, "When you call your financial advisor, who's local to me, you call your lawyer, who's local to me, who's more like a friend," and she she and then she hangs up the phone. And so I said, I made it sound like the Polar Exo, the Polar Exo Energy guys go, and they hear me on the phone. My aide hears me on the phone. My aide is standing right next to me, and she hears me on the phone. I'm like, "We have an emergency going on. Pick up the dang phone." And the Exo Energy guy goes, "Well, it's not really an emergency." I'm like, "It is carbon monoxide coming out of my boiler." "No, thank you. No, we're not playing around." And so it's like, okay, here we go. And so basically, long story short, Wednesday, Tuesday night, I I get rescued out of my own house by one of my guardian angels. Um, my friend who happens to be my lawyer, and she comes and rescues me. All I remember seeing is a black Audi pull into my garage, and she basically said, "Win, you've got to get out of it now. I'm helping you." So my aide, my lawyer, my aide's husband helped me out of my house. And my stepmom is nowhere to be found. I raced over to a hotel room where I'm now recording this episode, by the way. And I raced over to a hotel room and I said, the last text message I sent to Danielle was, "Bye bye. I'm I'm going to be somewhere in the next 7 hours, just not here." And her response was, "Be safe," because now she's scared up to the death that her girlfriend is gonna die. And so my main point being is, please, 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 not only flip on public safety alerts, but please, 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 if you, I don't know, you'll probably listen to this episode, Hot Chocolate with CP, on Monday morning. Please, now that it's after the New Year's, please go get your boilers checked, and please go get carbon monoxide detectors. Please, 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 please. I beg of you, because you need to, we all need to do it. We all need to do it. And please just make sure every wire, every carbon monoxide detector, every boiler is safe, because carbon monoxide poisoning is deadly. Number one, it's deadly. It's odorless. It's odorless. It's colorless. It can kill. So basically, I wouldn't have seen 2021 basically if I stayed in my house 2 seconds longer. And thankfully, I'm happy to report, as of tonight, which is Sunday night, there's no carbon monoxide in this house, no carbon monoxide in this house, and no gas leaking out of the boiler. They didn't even turn me back on Tuesday. They just left me alone, red tagged it, because yeah, and people people were saying that they smelled gas in the laundry room. My stepmom didn't believe me. This started, the smelling of gas started in 2019. And I'm like, okay, that's a little scary. That's a little scary that you tell a person and and then she doesn't do anything about it. And now there's a huge, as I said, as I said on my other episode about this, the artwork of CP. There's a huge um, missing piece of the puzzle, which I will tell you guys when I get to the East Coast. Now, as of today, another plan just got thrown at me. So I will let you guys, I'm 99% positive I'm going to the East Coast, but I will let you guys know if this other plan works out. I have a plan A, which is East Coast all the way, making it enough. But I now have plan B. Now, if plan B works out, I will move to plan B because plan B has a better option for me than Florida does. And even though I am still working with plan A, aka Mickey and Minnie Mouse, the plan of Mickey and Minnie Mouse, Orlando, I am weighing all my options before I make a final decision. And there is a group home in Florida, which I'm investigating as well. But I have plan A, which is Florida, and plan B, which is somewhere that is not Florida, but still a nice place to live. And I will let you guys know once I decide and where we're going. But by this time next year, I'll be somewhere other than here. And I'm super excited because I need to get out of it. I need to get out of the cold and I need to get out of icky, icky snow and icky, just ickiness. And I need to get out of high altitude. So, and plan B is a low altitude too. So, so I need to do a little bit of journalism work, and I will let you guys know if plan B or plan A is going to work. Hopefully, it's going to be plan B, but hopefully it's going to be plan A, but I'm not opposed to plan B at this point. And so we'll see. We'll see. But Danielle, do you want to lead us out?
Yeah, the evil the
Thank you for following us. And Happy New Year, you guys. And I recorded 2 episodes to kick off the New Year strong. Danielle is going to grab one of them. One of them I have to give her. But I am going to be doing this a little bit on my staycation, a lot at home. But as I get ready to move, the podcast is coming to a halt just for a little while because I'm going to be into a midst of a move somewhere, and I hope it's Plan A, aka Land of Mickey and Minnie Mouse. But if it's Plan B, I'll be happy with that. And so I will let you guys know. And next week will be our New Year's resolution episode, and then the week after that will be my plan. The week after that will be why I'm not scared about moving on my own, and then the week after that will be my plan for me once I get down to Florida. Now, if Plan B gets um, put in front of Florida, that will change my plan completely, but we'll see. We'll see, but I'll leave it at that. and I hope you guys have a great start to 2021. Bye, you guys.
Bye.